Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom, and today we're going to talk about a new show on TLC called Match Me Abroad. Now we're going to catch up because the show's been on a couple weeks, so I'm going to talk about week 1 was like the matchmaking special, and then 2 you get to meet the different couples, but 3 and 4 are where the couples go over to meet their matchmakers and to their country of choice. So that's what we're talking about today. Episode 3 and episode 4, Catch Me a Catch. Now, before I begin, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video and leave your comments. Let me know what you think about these couples on this show, Match Me Abroad. All right, so on this season is going to be, looks like 7 couples. And so far, about 4 of them, I believe, have already gone over to their country to meet their matchmaker, meet their possible love interest. And there's 3 different matchmakers. I guess, they do extensive detailing to get these people matches, or these singles, I should say, matches, to see who could be a potential life partner. So let's see who is on this show. So again, Match Me Abroad on TLC. So the top 3 up here are singles and the bottom ones are the matchmakers. First up, we have Harold. Harold is an artist. He is 41. He is on the spectrum of autism, but you know what? He is working through his challenges. He said, even though his dating life has had certain challenges, he's looking for love, but he feels like his wife is in the city of Prague. So that's where he is going to find his potential match with that matchmaker. Next up is Stanika. Stanika is 32. She's a realtor from Jackson, Mississippi. Stanika said she's never, ever had a boyfriend and never went out on a date. I find that very interesting. Now, Stanika did say that she was overweight as a child and she's went on, as she got older, to have weight loss surgery. So now she's more confident in herself and she's looking for love. And her matchmaker is actually sending her off to Morocco. Next up, we have Susan. Susan is 52 years old. She's an accomplished businesswoman with high standards. She said she's ready to find love, but she has one non-negotiable. And that is she wants a man with a full head of hair. Susan and her dog companion are off to Colombia. All right, next up is Nathaly. Nathaly is 25 years old. She is stepping out of her comfort zone. Her background is she's a traditional Sri Lankan American and comes from a traditional family where her mother is trying to set her up like an arranged marriage type thing, but she wants to skip tradition and find someone on her own, but she's also nervous at the same time to break away from that tradition that she's only used to having and knowing about. All right, next up is Chad. Chad is 38 years old. Chad says he's been unlucky in love and he's been engaged 3 times. He said he's ready to settle down with the right person. He wants to bring a wife home to his mother and his dogs. Okay, so next up is Mark, 41, a sportscaster who has lived in different places around the world. He says he's ready to move on, also to find a wife and kids. He said he feels like he's running out of time to start his own family, because he's at a particular age now where his friends and coworkers and colleagues have families and are married and things like that. And he feels like he's missing out. And frankly, he's ready to get to that stage in his life as well. And finally, we have Michelle. Michelle is 34. Although she lives in North Carolina, she has family roots in the Czech Republic. Is it still the Czech Republic or just Czech? Anyways, Michelle is finding it hard to find a man because she describes herself as a feminist and has feminist views, and it's hard to find a man, in her opinion, to play the gender affirming roles. So All right. So now that we met the couples, let's catch up with the show. So we're actually going to start with Susan. I'm going to put her picture up until we get to know them, and then we can just talk regularly. Okay. Susan. Susan previously went on a date with Miguel and her matchmaker. Susan is also in Colombia. She said Miguel had the qualities on paper that was established. He was well-to-do, traveled, but one thing Miguel was all over the place in conversation. She said as soon as she tried to get a word in edgewise, yeah, she was like doing the double dutch trying to get, give her own opinion or whatever, but she couldn't get it in because he was just always about him, his travel, his work, what he would do, this and that, right? So, yeah. At the end of the date, Miguel asked her, Susan, do you mind if I see you again? Susan was like, no, we don't have that kind of spark, okay? Now, Susan describes herself as someone who's high maintenance and has a lot of enthusiasm, but she also says she's a talker, a communicator, but she also said that she's an over talker, over communicator. And I believe her matchmaker said that, and this matchmaker, a few of these couples have the same matchmaker, okay? The matchmaker said that Susan also needs to get out of her comfort zone. He wants Susan to let her walls down. He says like they're up a little bit too high, like she's not as open as she claims that she is. So that's why he's trying to get her to go out with different men to see what their personality types are like, and like maybe someone she would never go for in the first place. So Susan said she completely has faith in her matchmaker Juan, and she's ready to go on to the next guy because again, she's looking for love, and this is what I'm paying you for, right? So Juan says that he has a match for her, but he's a musician and he's a traveling musician. And Susan's like, well, what kind of musician? He said, he goes around, he plays at different places. So maybe Susan's thinking that musicians, and I guess musicians, traveling ones or bandmates or whatever, may have a bad rap or something. I think maybe you kind of like see Susan's mind working, but she said that she would go ahead and go out with the guy. And one also said that the guy is younger than her. And she doesn't necessarily want that in a partner. She wants someone that's like age appropriate. But she said she'll give it a try because, again, that's what she's on the show for over in Morocco, to hopefully find the love of her life. So I guess Susan and her dog Calliope will be going on their next date with Juan. So we'll see her possibly on the next show when she's up next week. All right, so let's move back to Harold. So Harold has met with his matchmaker and he was set up for a date. Now, one thing about Harold is, like I said, he's 41. He's on the autism spectrum. Harold is looking for a blonde, athletic woman strictly from the Czechoslovakia or the Czech Republic. He specifically said tall, blonde, athletic, right? So the matchmaker sets him up for the date. And one thing also too, you see Harold right here on the screen. He likes wearing his jeans, his suspenders, the regular polo shirt, right? So, and also like quirky shirts, like Hawaiian shirts with roses or flowers and just different little things like that. But the matchmaker said she was going to send him on the date for someone that he said that he liked, but not someone that he needs, that he wants, but not someone that he needs. So he's out on the date. It's set up on a paddle boat ride. Okay. So Harold gets to the paddle boat ride with Therese. Therese is tall, blonde, younger, athletic build. Conversation the whole time was awkward. Therese is like, yeah, the answering questions. I mean, she was answering, but was she really answering to get to know Harold? The answer is no. Okay. Therese, point blank, when Harold asked questions like, do you like my shirt? Do you like me or whatever? She's like, no. Okay. I don't really like a man with flour on his shirt. No, I don't want to have your number, because Harold asked at the end of the date, can I have your number? She's like, no, I don't want your number. He's like, well, maybe I could, I could give you mine or whatever he said. She's like, no, no, no. If you give me yours, I don't need to write down, put in my phone. I'll remember. I'm thinking you're not going to remember because you're not into Harold. But one thing while they were paddle boating, though, Harold likes to draw. And he also, I forgot to mention this, he has a collection of he got like a special rock. So I guess he got like a rock collection. Yeah. So he pulls out, he didn't bring real flowers. He brought a drawing of a rose and handed it to Therese. He was like, here, this is for you. She's like, oh, that's nice. And Harold is like in his own world. He's like, yeah, it is. So it was very interesting. You could tell that it wasn't going to be a connection just based off what the matchmaker said. Because it's not something that Harold needs. They wouldn't really have anything in common because Therese said in confessional that Harold is not her type. Like I mentioned, she doesn't like men who wear flower shirts. She's into the more rebellious man, like a bad boy. Does Harold look like he gives a bad boy? Harold is not a bad boy. Least, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but Harold does not give bad boy whatsoever. But also to another interesting story while Harold and Therese we're trying to come up with conversation, paddle boating on the lake. You paddle boat, you come back, it takes a little while to come back. So I guess, making that small talk. So when the question came up about, do you have pets? I thought Therese said she didn't have any pets. That's what I thought I heard her say. Okay. But Harold said he has a pet. Well, he went from has to had. He had a pet bird. She's like, oh, okay. He said, well, no, the bird died. And then he explained how the bird died. He said the bird died from eating nuts, that the bird had a nut allergy, and that's how the bird died. I was like, huh. Now, that's interesting. Now, how would they know that the bird had a nut allergy? Okay, Harold. Well, anyways, like I said, the date didn't go well. Once they got back to the shore, he asked for a phone number. She's like, nope. I'll if you give me yours, I'll remember. And he's like, well, can I see you again? She's like, no, I'm good at finding people. So if I want to find you, I'll find you. I was like, wow, you'll find him, huh? Yeah, okay. So Therese said, and also in confessional, that she has a pet dog to get home to. So she couldn't go out because Harold said, can you go out to dinner with me later? She's like, no, I have my pet dog I need to get home to. I'm thinking, I thought you said you didn't have no pets, but hey, maybe Harold wasn't paying attention. All right. So at the end of that date, the next time that Harold meets with the matchmaker, the matchmaker already got feedback from Therese, and we heard a little bit of the conversation, and it wasn't good at all. Apparently, Harold wasn't her type. He's not fit. He's not the bad boy. It was awkward, just not a connection, not interested in seeing him again. So the matchmaker breaks it to him, even though she says it nice, but she tells him firm, like, again, Therese may be the type of woman you're looking for, but I have a match for you who's into like science-y things and different little things that I guess Harold wrote down on his paper that he's into. Someone that, meets your boxes. We have for you. Are you interested in going out on a date? And he said, yeah, because Harold really feels like he's going to be married and find his belle of the ball in Czech, right? Or excuse me, not Czech, Prague. Excuse me. I said Czech right, in Prague. And so the matchmaker said, but before we send you out on that date, are you willing to like maybe do a wardrobe change? And you know what? He agreed. So the matchmaker had him go to a store and he, changed clothes to give up a new vibe. Well, when he came out, when we saw Harold, he had on I think it was some jeans, a nice white crisp shirt, and a nice, regular jacket, like a cocktail jacket, like a suit jacket, but a casual suit type of jacket. Harold looked nice, and I think they maybe trimmed up his hair and put a little mousse or something in it to give it a little pizzazz. So yeah, so whoever the next date is, hopefully we can see her next week. It'll be a better first impression. So, all right, Harold, we'll have to see where this goes. And I'm kind of rooting for you, quirky and all. Next up is Miss Stanika. All right, so Stanika is in Morocco. She again, has never been on a date before, so she says, in her 32 years of life. But she is ready to go out and find her match now. She has gone out already. Tonight is her first date with Nordine. All right. Nordine is a tour guide in Morocco. He came with flowers. He came really nicely dressed. Again, same thing kind of like Harold had on, like the nice jeans, a nice shirt, the nice jacket, the little dress suit jacket. And like I said, and some flowers. And you know what? I think Stanika and Nordine were vibing in conversation. I really do. I mean, he took the time to show Stanika around the Moroccan market where they sell all kind of stuff, food, produce, clothes, blankets, all kind of stuff. It kind of looked like it was for the people who live there, and also touristy too. It looked like it was like where tourists can go to buy little things too as well. They just talked about, what they do for a living. She said she's in real estate. He asked her, well, do you like what you do? She said, I love it. And Nordine said, you know what? When you love what you do, it feels like you're never working. So I don't have too much to say about Nordine and Stanika, other than I think it was a great vibe, great conversation. He was very attentive to her. He had her try different Moroccan teas. Now, even though when Stanika went back to the booth to try some Moroccan tea and they're explaining it to her, now that's where the southern part of it, in my opinion, came out with Stanika. She's like, woo, oh. I'm not saying she was loud or nothing, because she wasn't, because, sometimes there's a stigma around African-American, Black, brown women that we can be loud, but I'm just saying her southernness came out in the things when she started to taste things and just different, because she's never been outside of Mississippi. So it just comes across that way. Like she was like, oh my goodness, Southern Belle type thing, but she was a good sport. She even got to taste some a goat head. Cause Nordine said, yeah, my friend makes the best goat head or whatever. So I mean, it was full on. You know how other countries do. They eat other things that maybe a lot of us here may or may not eat. Also, again, it depends on your culture and, your ethnic background. But Stanika's never had it. And so they actually have the goat head, and she is a sport. She tries it. She's like, tastes like stew. So, I mean, she didn't eat a lot, but she ate it. So it looked like they were out and about for it was sunny when they started and really into the evening times when they ended. And again, they just seemed like they had a good vibe. I think that the matchmaking was awesome for this couple for right now, but I do have a little bit of pause. And that pause is because Stanika has never gone on a date before and never had a boyfriend and don't really know how the dynamic goes. I mean, it almost comes across like she would be smitten with anybody who really paid her enough attention. So, but I could be wrong, but that's kind of what it gave. So anyways, at the end of the evening, it was time for her to go back. Nordine asked, well, I would like to see you again, but I won't be here for a couple of days because he already had something pre-planned with the tour for whatever his job is. And Stanika said, yeah, I would like to see you again too. But she said it straight. She said, I'm here to find my love. I'm here to, whoever's going to be with me and who I'm supposed to be with. So I'm still going to date. So I'm just letting you know. But when you get back, call me. We can maybe go out again. So Nordine was like, well, wait for me. And again, I thought Stanika was right to say that she was, had something else going on. And, this is just what it is. So the next time we see Stanika again, she's been set up by her matchmaker with a different date on a different side of town, or part of the city, I should say. And it is meeting Salah, I believe that's his name, excuse me if it's not, at the family restaurant. Okay, so I guess he's a chef or just works at the family restaurant. And Stanika's like, the family restaurant? So does that mean I'm going to meet the family? And the matchmaker said, yeah, probably. And she was like, that's a little odd to meet the family in advance. So anyways, they get to the restaurant. The matchmaker actually has a friend of hers there to interpret, because she said that the matchmaker said that she's not familiar with the type of language that Salah speaks, because he speaks English, but is broken. So the translator was there to help out a little bit, to, so they can keep the conversation, they can keep the party going, So when they get there, Salah comes out. He's a little robotic to me. He's like very stiff. Maybe he was nervous. He did introduce himself. He had flowers and all. And, he asked her what she did for business, just the normal questions. What do you do? And things like that. And when they got to talking, Salah may have asked maybe 2 things. And then here comes Salah's brother in his pink suit. His brother didn't seem like he was here for this. I'm not sure if he was not here for this, baby, because of the process in general, or maybe who Stanika was, or just what. Because the brother just seemed like he was a little, like he had his nose in the air a little bit. So the brother got to asking questions like through the interpreter, like, excuse me. So why did you choose a matchmaker? And why did you break up with your last person you're with? Question like that. Something that maybe his brother Salah, who's there on the date, could have asked if his brother didn't come and just automatically take up a chair. So when the question about break up with your last boyfriend, or why you're not with somebody, or something like that, Stanika said that in her experience, she has known men to be liars and cheaters and things like that. And so Salah said, well, do you think you're the problem? And Stanika was like, oh, no. And Kharoufeh like, that is not me. So, it's kind of like, I don't know, like, did Salah take the brother's side, or maybe it was like lack of interpretation or something like that? I don't know. And then once that question got answered, here comes Salah's mom and father. They introduced themselves to Stanika. They have flowers for her too. And Salah is looking like, Mom, I know you didn't come here on this date with me, right? So the brother gets up to leave. Salah says, excuse me. His mother said, well, we just wanted to meet her, right? And so Salah escorts his mom and his dad kindly down the sidewalk, and he's still mic'd up, and he's like, well, what are you doing here? You messing things up for me, things like that. So I guess we'll find out what happens on the next episode. But the vibe with Stanika, Salah, and just the family restaurant and all the family coming, the questions they asked her, way, way off. All right, next up is Nathaly. Now, Nathaly met with her matchmaker previously. The matchmaker Juan wants Nathaly to come out of her comfort zone because, again, Nathaly is into appeasing her mother, because her mother doesn't want her going to do this at all. But Nathaly said regardless, she's going to keep doing it because she knows her mom is still going to try to find a match for her in the long run. So Nathaly is not used to, the only word I can think of is defying, but her mom, or going against tradition. But that's what Nathaly's here to do. She's determined to find her own way, her own love, and not with the family tradition of being possibly an arranged marriage. So on her first time meeting her matchmaker, he's trying to get Nathaly to open up, to be more sexy, and tap into her emotions. So he schedules her to go to a salsa dancing class, and Nathaly's like, oh my gosh. He's salsa dancing with her, but you can tell that Nathaly has been sheltered a little bit, or has been told, like, you don't wear sexy clothes, you don't dance a certain way, you don't do a certain thing until maybe you're married, because she seemed uncomfortable, but she did it anyways. Also, Nathaly, she don't know a whole lot of Spanish, right? So she said in her confessional, she thought that maybe when she came over to Colombia, that eventually the Spanish she took in high school would just automatically come back to her. If you don't use it, you lose it, especially another language. So she was definitely lost in translation when it came to meeting her date. So after the salsa dancing, Nathaly was set up with her date. Let me see what his name is. I can't see his name right there. His name was Stewart. Okay, and she's like, Stewart? She couldn't figure it out. It took about 5 times for her to pick up Stewart, right? Stewart is described by the matchmaker as energetic. He likes to ride motorcycles. He's outgoing, just the opposite of Natalie, but what he feels Natalie needs, right? He's attractive. I think he's like a model too, or something like that. And if he's not, maybe he should be. Okay, so their first date was at a restaurant, and again, the language barrier, they try to use the phone. The translating app, I guess it wasn't working well enough to get by. So I guess, Stewart knew maybe a word or two English, and Natalie could pick up a word or two of the language he was speaking, and they went from there. But after dinner, Natalie stepped out her comfort zone, all right. She asked Stewart to come back with her to the pool at hotel. And he was like, yeah, he's with it. He was going, right? But in confessional, Stewart said that, he notices that Natalie is shy, more shy than he's used to. He said he's hoping that either, they could progress in their relationship, but he would also be cool if it turned out to be a one-night stand. He was like, either way, So they get to the pool, and I don't know what Natalie was thinking. She didn't change into a bathing suit, bikini, or nothing. Stewart takes his clothes off, leaves his underwear on and jumps in the pool. Natalie said that she thought that maybe they would just like sit on the side of the pool with their feet in the water. Even I didn't think that when she said go to the pool. I thought they was gonna just go for a swim, because you don't need to talk for that, right? So he's asking her, come in the pool. She's like, no, I don't have a bikini. I'll just sit right here. So he's in the pool. He's flipping and doing different things. And it looks like at one point he wants to drag her into the pool. She's like, oh, no, don't do that. So then after, it wasn't very long, maybe, and I'm being generous, like 10 minutes, she was like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to go to the room now. So I think that maybe Stewart thought that maybe he's going to the room too. He didn't. He went home. So, you know what? In a way, Natalie opened up, yes, but at the same time, maybe she didn't realize that she was sending a mixed signal with the, oh, come to my hotel, let's get in the pool, things like that. So I don't know. We'll see if Natalie can, find a little bit more, oh gosh, what's the word? A little bit more esteem going forward and open up more to different experiences on the next episode. All right. So next up is Mark. Mark has made it to Morocco, and he gets a very rude awakening, at least for Mark. At the hotel check-in, the check-in host explains Mark the rules of what you can and cannot do in Morocco. There is no hand-holding, there's no affectionate, there's no nothing if you are not married, and because it's against the law. So Mark is very unhappy. He's very opposed to the rules. Okay, because in the confessional, he says, well, what happens if there's a vibe with the lady I'm with? And so at the end of the night, it'd be like a handshake, we'll see you next time, see you tomorrow. I'm thinking, no, it's not even a handshake. It's just a see you tomorrow kind of thing, right? So the next day, he's meeting up with the matchmaker, Nina, and one of the first things he says to her is like, oh, well, how come no one told me the rules, about being affectionate? He goes, well, maybe he should have did his research in advance. Yes, you should. Any couple, whether it be on Match Me Abroad or any franchise of the 90-Day Fiancé, the other way, if you go to another country, or you just go to another country in general, for love, leisure, or whatever, you need to know the rules of the country when you go, right? And don't expect everyone to speak English, because they're not in America. So I don't know why that takes people for a loop. But anyways, Mark says that, he's not sure how things will work out, because he's not used to, again, that type of energy when it comes to a woman that he's used to, because he's used to being all lovey-dovey. And, Nina, the matchmaker, said, that's just what you're going to have to do. Is her name Nina? Yeah, Nina. That's just what you have to go by. And you know what? Eventually, when you're there, you'll have to conform, or else it's not going to work out good for you. Well, then Mark is given the speech like, well, if I was in America, da-da-da. Mark, you're not in America. Save that. what they say, save the drama for your mama. You're not in America, so move on. Well, anyways, Nina told Mark that Moroccan women are used to a man providing for the household. That's it. That's all. Mark says, that's not what he wants. He wants someone who can go 50-50 or whatever they can contribute to the household. He's not willing to take care of someone like that. Like, that's not what he wants. But you know what? Even on the ride to the hotel, let me jump back a little bit. The cab driver, when Mark said he was there looking for love, said that Moroccan women like to have babies, like at least 8 babies. And Mark was like, no, I only want like 2. So, he kind of like got a little heads up about how Moroccan women, not all, I guess, depends on if you follow it traditionally wise, like to be, have multiple children, and, you're the husband, so you're going to provide. But Nina, when she tells him about the date that she has set up, he also learns that his date is 24 years old. And Mark has a problem with this too. He's like, he's not used to dating someone younger because, well, he's used to dating someone younger, but he's explained when you date someone younger, they're younger, they're good to party with, but he wants someone he could build with. And also too, when they're younger, you normally have to take care of them too. And just, that's not what he's into. But Nina convinced him just to give it a try. You never know what will happen. And there you go. Nina also said that Mark reminds her of a 41-year-old frat boy, or how should I put it, a frat boy in a 41-year-old's body. So I get it. Mark also gives me, sorry, Mark, you kind of giving off a little jerk energy in the beginning because, you want things to be like the way they are at home in America. And that's just not how it is. So that was the end of the episode. Next week's episode, we're going to see Stanika and Salah continue on their date from the restaurant. And Stanika's anxiety is really high per Stanika. And then Mark, he said that he wants to be more comfortable with life experiences when he meets up with his date who's 24. And it looks like the 24-year-old is already a little put off by Mark's energy. And then Susan is going out on another date with the musician. So we'll see how that goes as her boundaries seems like they're going to be pushed in this upcoming episode. And then finally, Nathaly meets back with matchmaker Juan to talk about how the date went when she did the pool thing and, go from there, see what other advice he can give her. So, okay, everyone. So that was Match Me Abroad. It looks like it's a cute show. It looks like it's genuine. Doesn't seem like it's scripted at all, with singles from America looking for love abroad. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you back for the next one. New episode is out on Sunday, so I will have the video out shortly after, either Monday afternoon or Tuesday. So I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share. And until next time, everyone, live simply, be grateful.